Have you ever felt like you're surrounded by family, but still feel distant from them? Do you sometimes feel like you're not as close to your loved ones as you should be? This is something many people face, and it's easy to overlook. Life gets busy. We get caught up in work or daily tasks. And before we know it, we start drifting apart from the people who matter most. Family is not an important thing. It's everything, said Michael J. Fox. But if we don't put effort into keeping those bonds strong, it can feel like we're losing touch with the people who should be our closest friends. The good news is, we can change this. It's not too late to rebuild the connection with our family. In this lesson, we'll talk about how we can bring those relationships back and make them stronger than ever. The pain of distance in family relationships. Many of us face a common problem in our family lives, feeling distant from the people we love most. Have you ever found yourself living under the same roof but not really connecting with your family? It's like you're all there, but something is missing. This distance can happen when we stop talking to each other, spend less time together, or just get caught up in daily distractions like work or technology. If we don't make the effort to stay close, the gap can grow bigger. Small misunderstandings or lack of communication can slowly break down the bond we share with our loved ones. Over time, this distance can lead to feelings of loneliness, frustration, and even resentment. There's a saying, the most important thing in the world is family and love. This reminds us that our family is our support system, and we need to take care of these relationships. Without love and communication, family ties can weaken. So what can we do to prevent this from happening? First, start by spending more quality time with your family. It's not about being in the same room while everyone is on their phone, but really talking and listening to each other. Ask how their day went, share something funny or meaningful, and show that you care. Another important step is to communicate openly. If something is bothering you, talk about it calmly instead of letting it build up. Lastly, don't forget to show love. Small gestures like a hug or saying "I love you" can make a huge difference in keeping the connection strong. The power of communication in family relationships. How often do you and your family truly communicate? I'm not talking about the basic "Hi, how was your day?" but real, meaningful conversations. In today's busy world, it's easy to let communication slip. We get caught up in our routines, work, or personal stress, and we stop talking about the things that really matter. This can lead to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and a sense of disconnection. When we don't communicate properly, problems build up. Little issues turn into big ones, and soon it feels like no one really understands or listens to each other. It's not uncommon for family members to start feeling like strangers to one another, despite living under the same roof. There's a quote that says, "Communication is the key to understanding, and understanding is the key to love." It reminds us that talking openly and honestly with our family isn't just about solving problems. It's about keeping love alive and making sure everyone feels heard. So, what can we do to improve communication? First, make an effort to listen. Sometimes, we think we're communicating well, but we're just waiting for our turn to talk. Instead, really listen to what others are saying without interrupting or making judgments. Another simple way to communicate better is to check in regularly with your family. Ask about their day, their dreams, or even what's bothering them. Finally, don't avoid difficult conversations. It's tempting to let things slide, but addressing issues directly helps prevent misunderstandings from turning into bigger problems down the road. The importance of quality time in strengthening family bonds. How often do you really spend quality time with your family? In the rush of daily life work, school, errands, it's easy to forget, that time is the most precious gift we can give our loved ones. We may live under the same roof or see each other every day, but are we truly present? The truth is, if we don't make time for our family, we start drifting apart. We may be in the same room, but we're lost in our phones, our thoughts, or our own worries. Over time, this lack of connection leads to isolation, even within a family. It's a silent problem, but a big one. As the famous quote goes, family is not an important thing. It's everything. This reminds us that our family relationships deserve our attention and effort. If we don't give them the time and care they need, they can start to fade, just like any other relationship. So, what can we do? It's all about prioritizing those moments together. First, find time to engage in shared activities. Whether it's a simple meal together, a family walk, or a weekend outing, these small moments help build stronger connections. Next, set boundaries around your personal time. This could mean putting down your phone or turning off the TV during family time. Lastly, don't wait for special occasions to be close. It's the everyday interactions that build the strongest bonds. The power of open communication in family relationships. How often do we really talk openly with our family? It's easy to assume that everyone understands each other, especially when we've been together for a long time. But the truth is, not talking about our feelings or concerns can cause misunderstandings and even distance in our relationships. If we don't communicate well, small problems can grow into bigger ones. You might start feeling like no one really listens to you, or worse, that no one cares. This can lead to frustration, hurt feelings, and the feeling of being disconnected from the people you love most. As the saying goes, the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. This quote reminds us that just because we're talking doesn't mean we're truly communicating. It's important to make sure we're really listening and expressing ourselves clearly. So, how do we improve communication within our families? First, start with listening, not just hearing, but truly paying attention when someone speaks. Give them your full attention, without distractions like phones or TV. Second, don't be afraid to share your feelings. Expressing what's on your mind, even if it's hard, helps clear up misunderstandings before they become bigger issues. Lastly, make it a habit to check in with your family members regularly. A simple, "How are you feeling?" or "Is everything okay?" can go a long way in keeping the lines of communication open. The importance of quality time in strengthening family bonds. In today's fast-paced world, we're often so busy with work, school, and other responsibilities that we forget to spend quality time with our families. It's easy to think that being physically present is enough, but without meaningful time together, relationships can start to feel distant or even strained. When we don't prioritize quality time, we risk losing the deeper connection with our loved ones. You might find yourselves living under the same roof, but feeling emotionally miles apart. Misunderstandings and hurt feelings can easily grow when we don't make space for shared moments of joy and understanding. There's a famous quote that says, "Time spent with family is worth every second." This reminds us that the moments we share with family members aren't just time spent, they're valuable, and they play a big role in building lasting, meaningful relationships. So how can we make quality time a priority in our family lives? First, it's important to be fully present. When you're together, put away distractions like phones and focus on each other. Second, plan activities that everyone enjoys, whether it's a family dinner, playing a game, or just taking a walk together. These little moments create big memories. Finally, don't wait for special occasions to connect. Use everyday moments, like chatting over breakfast or listening to each other's day, as opportunities to bond. The power of active listening in family relationship. We've all been there. Someone in the family is sharing something important, and instead of fully listening, we're distracted or already thinking about our response. This happens often, especially in families, and it can lead to feelings of being unheard or misunderstood. When we don't truly listen, we miss the opportunity to connect and support each other on a deeper level. Without active listening, communication can break down. We might think we know what the other person is going through, but if we don't listen carefully, we can easily misunderstand their feelings or needs. This can cause frustration, create emotional distance, and even lead to conflict. There's a well-known quote that says, "The biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand. We listen to reply." This highlights how often we focus on responding rather than truly hearing what someone is saying. Active listening is about being present and showing that you value what the other person is sharing. To practice active listening in your family, start by giving your full attention when someone is speaking. Put away distractions like phones or TV and look them in the eyes. Show empathy by acknowledging their feelings, whether they're happy, sad, or frustrated. And finally, ask questions to show you're engaged and want to understand more. The importance of apologizing and forgiving in family relationships. Have you ever had an argument with a family member that just lingers, making things awkward for days or even weeks? It happens to all of us. Sometimes we hurt the ones we love, whether it's through words, actions, or just not being there when they need us. But when we don't apologize or forgive, this unresolved tension can slowly build walls between us. Holding on to grudges or refusing to apologize not only keeps the relationship strained, but also adds unnecessary stress to our lives. It's like carrying a heavy burden that only gets heavier over time. In the end, we miss out on the joy of having a close, trusting relationship with our family. There's a powerful quote that says, "Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it." This reminds us that forgiving, even when we've been hurt, can bring peace not just to the person we forgive, but to ourselves as well. It's not just about letting go of anger, it's about creating a space for love and healing. To make this work in your family, try to own up to your mistakes when they happen. A simple, heartfelt apology can go a long way in rebuilding trust and making the relationship stronger. And if someone apologizes to you, be ready to forgive. Remember, it's a gift that you give yourself as much as it is to the other person. Holding onto anger and resentment only makes things harder. Setting healthy boundaries in family relationships. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by family members constantly asking for your time, energy, or attention? Maybe you've said yes when you really wanted to say no, and now you're drained or frustrated. It's easy to give in to pressure from family, but without setting boundaries, we can end up sacrificing our own peace of mind and happiness. If we don't create healthy boundaries, we may start feeling resentful, burned out, or taken for granted. This can cause tension and distance, and make our family relationships feel more like obligations than genuine connections. The truth is, we all need personal space, both physically and emotionally, to maintain balance in our lives. There's a quote that says, "You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce." This reminds us that setting boundaries isn't about being harsh or unloving. It's about teaching others how to respect your needs so that the relationship stays healthy and strong. When we don't set clear boundaries, we invite stress and miscommunication into our relationships. To apply this lesson, start by recognizing your limits. If someone is asking too much of you, it's okay to kindly say no or ask for some space. Let your family know what you need in a calm, respectful way. Boundaries can be as simple as setting time aside for yourself, not overcommitting to family obligations, or asking for emotional space when things get too overwhelming.